He's found a cross, and here's Mario Götze! What a goal! What a goal to win a World Cup!
Hello and welcome to the World Cup Waffle, as this old radio format gets resurrected for, a random show only to possibly die again for another 2 years, depending on how bothered Mac feels today. On that cheery note, let's meet the guests. First of all, making a second appearance after appearing on the show along with me, your host Chris Stanley, the ever-ranting Alex Walton-Kay, it's Rachel Feeny-Williams. Hello. How goes the acting? Because I know that's kind of a big thing for you.
Yeah, the acting's going marvellously well.
Any shows you want to shamelessly plug? We're good for that.
Well, to be fair, it's not until October, but I am directing my own written play in the autumn. So, yeah.
Exciting times.
Reduced
Cool.
playwright.
Well, before we have too much drama, we'll move on to our next guest. He should be an old hand at this, having appeared European Championships version back in 2016. It is, of course, James Curley.
Hooray, hello everybody, hello.
Hello. How does it feel to not be watching Demi Lovato, as Richard Jones would have been if he'd had a bit more luck today?
It feels as amazing as it already was.
I don't
Not
really
watching her
know.
anymore.
I feel like I should know who Demi Lovato is.
I probably couldn't tell you any of her songs.
It sounds like something you'd order from Starbucks.
I think she's mainly popular with the 12-year-olds, but I think that's what Jonesy's.
Right.
That.
Okay.
I've got no comment on the 12-year-old girlfriend, given my sister and her friend are going to see her later on this month. So the 12-year-old girl comment probably won't go down well, Curly.
I feel like I need to take a point off Curly or something like that. But start Curly on -1. There we go.
Excellent. Yeah.
My bad.
We're just insulting everyone, including people who aren't even on the show at the moment. Yeah, as Rachel and Matt can't believe their luck, let's move on to our third guest, who I may have just inadvertently given away. He's the usual host, and he's once again trying to see if a guest appearance can actually mean he wins his own damn show for just once, because it's never happened in at least 8 years. It's Mak Forsyth.
Hello, yeah, it's surely about time. I mean, we're doing this proper World Cup style. I mean, you got that brown envelope, right, Chris? That big brown envelope I sent in the post?
Is your middle name Qatar?
Let's not start the shenanigans already.
I'm just starting as we mean to go on, to be honest. But, yeah. All right, let's start off. Let's get the questions underway with the typical cash machine sound effect that Mac so fondly loves. Question 1. As the tournament is taking place in Russia, who saw that coming, let's have some facts about the land for our footballers before they arrive in there. Let's start with James.
Excellent. It's home to Europe's longest river, which is called the Volga, at 3,690 kilometres, which for most English people is 2,293 miles. An estimated 50% of policemen take bribes. That's actually apparently a fact. Male life expectancy is just 65, which is lower than North Korea and Iraq. And the word vodka actually comes from the word voda, which actually means water, which might explain the reason for them dying so much, because they're just drinking it like water. With apparently 30% of all deaths in Russia are actually due to alcohol, whereas in the UK it's 3.4.
That sounds about right. to be brutally honest. I'm going to give you 3 points there, James, so you're on 2. How's that feel?
Yay. I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
Good, excellent. Rachel.
I have 2. I have one that kind of made me think of how actually badass Russian is. The official residence for the Russian president is called the Kremlin in Moscow, and the name Kremlin means fortress. So essentially, their president lives in a fortress, and it's really cool when you consider our prime minister lives at number 10
in a flat.
Yeah, exactly. The Russians could know how to be badass when it comes to housing their president. And the other one actually ties into what Curly said. Russians are the 4th biggest drinkers in the world, according to the World Health Organization, behind Belarus, Moldova and Lithuania. Apparently we come 25th on that scale.
Oh.
Is that Feeny-Williams or the English?
That's a British mark, thank you. Point up to 2.
What I like about that stat is the fact that Belarus and Lithuania both border Russia. So it's kind of like Russia is also like a bad influence on the places around it. So I like that. So it's 3 points to Rachel. Mac, you're going to have to get moving.
Well, I was lucky enough actually to room share once with a Russian. His name was Oleg. And it was at a summer camp when I was a teenager, and he taught me a few useful words of Russian, such as "Меня зовут," which is "my name is," and the very useful when you're on a tour in St. Petersburg, "Skучно," which is boring. Never do you capture the attention of the female tour guide by saying the word "Skучно" behind her as she leads you around the gardens of St. Petersburg.
Oh dear.
I also interestingly you introduce yourself as Chris Stanley, because you can't introduce yourself as Christopher J. Stanley in Russian because there is no letter J in the Cyrillic alphabet.
Oh, that's a stat and a half. 4 points to Mac.
Aww.
That's the sort of stat.
I personally think Mac should have points deducted for the crack that he made about Britain being 25th, and he said, was that just the Feeny-Williams?
Yeah, there was that.
I don't think you should be allowed to insult my family on a podcast.
Well, he should definitely know better. Yeah, that's a minus point to Mac. This is quite impressive. I've never given out minus points before. Before it was all nice bonus points, but no, a new age of terror. Yeah.
If you want to stick on the reign of terror, there was a road in Russia called the Road of Bones, and that was actually a Stalin-era labour camp, and they just built this road going from Magadan to Nizhny Vetskak, and that was 1932 until 1953, and basically you died building the road, they just built the road on top of you. So it's known as the Road of Bones.
I'm kind of giving you a point because that's a good stat, but I'm taking off a point because it's not a very nice thing to say about Russia, and you should know better. So 0 points for that stat. Question 2, moving on. The Nigeria kit sold out on release, even though I'm pretty sure it's almost exactly the same as one of the Forest Green Rovers strips they had back in the day. But which is your favourite of the kits at the World Cup? And I'm going to start back with Mac.
Well, my favourite's the Australian kit, as with the exception of Iceland, it's the only one with interesting sleeves. So you've got all the sleeves are plain, with the exception of Iceland and Australia. There's a few which have like the odd stripe on, but the Australia kit is mainly yellow, but then the sleeves have almost green thin tiger stripes across them, and the badge has got a kangaroo and an ostrich on it. Fact for you, no other kit has more than 2 animals on it at the tournament. Australia has a kangaroo and an ostrich.
Okay. What do Iceland have out of interest?
What?
On the sleeves.
On the sleeves, they kind of the main blue and the sort of that Liverpool checkers thing where it kind of merged colours. It goes so it goes from the red and blue kind of sort of checkers across the sleeve.
Ah, kind of like Croatia.
Yeah, but not as sort of bold. It's quite sort of small checkering.
Oh, okay. Well, that suits Iceland, isn't it? Kind of small. 4 points to Mac. Let's go to James.
Well, I had a couple really, but I think the favourite one where I think they could have probably done a little bit better on it is the Senegal one. It's basically it's a nice plain white T-shirt with green kind of outer rim, but the actual decoration on the white T-shirt is very, very intricate. I think from it looks like it's basically the face of a tiger hidden behind the number all over the chest area. To be honest, I think they could have made it a bit brighter, and it would have probably scared some more teams because that might be their only hope. But yeah, it's a very nice and intricately designed shirt.
Very good. 3 points to James. Rachel.
I was quite impressed with Switzerland's kit, because the kit itself is just simply plain red and white, but on the body plate in the middle, they've got what looked like to me when I first saw it, a map behind on the actual chest plate, and it looks like the Swiss have put like this map to find all the Swiss gold on their football players' football shirts. It's just like if you stare at them for long enough, you will be able to find all the Swiss goals.
It's like a Where's Wally sort of thing. You're like, damn it, where is Zurich? And
The body plate and the chest plate. It's not a suit of armour.
Well, you know what I mean. Sorry, you invited me on this as the, and I quote, non-football person.
Okay, moving on. Best sporting tournaments that isn't a World Cup. We're thinking a bit outside the box on this one, and we're going to start with Rachel.
Well, I went across the ocean to our American cousins because a couple of years ago I stayed up until 4 a.m. and actually watched the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And just seeing how enthusiastic the Americans get about it in general is entertaining enough. And also, to kind of support the point, I looked up how the teams in the Super Bowl decided, and it got so confusing. I genuinely think it's more confusing than trying to explain the offside rule to me. I literally looked up how the teams in the Super Bowl decided, and I read it about 6 times and still didn't understand what it said. But it's just the fact that Americans get so excited about it every year. And if Mr. Gibbard was here, he'd say the exact same thing.
I quite love the fact that this year for the Super Bowl, as well as the fact that someone other than New England Patriots won, they had Justin Timberlake do the halftime show, and he posed with the kid, and the kid clearly had absolutely no idea who Justin Timberlake was. Completely blanked him. No sort of acknowledgement, just a sort of, who the heck are you and why am I even here? I hate this sport, I hate my life.
The lead up to the Super Bowl happens all year, but the Super Bowl itself is the only one that's like this colossal event over there. It's like you have Super Bowl weekend. We don't have that here.
No, we certainly don't have a halftime show. Bonus point coming up for everyone. Who actually won the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, God.
Tampa Bay Tiger Prawns.
No, there
Jaguars?
is the Tampa Bay team, but not them. Who said Jaguars?
I'm right, the Jaguars, isn't it?
No, they made the last 4.
Ah.
It's a bird, if that helps.
It was Philadelphia.
Yes, that'll do. But Philadelphia Eagles.
Split between Curly and me.
Yeah, all right. Give you both a point. Let's move on to Mak.
Straight off the bat, the Olympics is never the right answer for this question, simply because you're either too young for when it's on and you're at school, or when it's on between 18 and 80, you're actually out working to pay the bills, so don't have time to watch it. Simple answer, this year, 6 Nations. Why? Scotland smashed England.
How did I know?
It was a weird 6 Nations, wasn't it? Because there were a lot of quite sort of surprising results, like Italy weren't completely terrible. And England lost 3 times, was it?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They finished below Scotland, which has been the best result for Scottish sport for about 20 years.
What did the Scotland cricket team do today, Mak?
Did they beat England or did they break their runs record?
They beat England, and they may well have beaten their runs record, but yes, certainly beat England. So a good day to be Scottish. 4 points to Mak. James.
I did notice on Facebook that it was a year ago today that Harry Kane scored that wonderful equaliser in the 90th minute to deny Scottish hopes at qualification.
That game was utterly bonkers. That last 5 minutes.
That game, we were sat in the pub, James and I sat there for about 70-80 minutes saying, why have Scotland started Lee Griffiths? He's never scored. And then they get 2 free kicks, edge of the box, and he puts them straight in he puts them in different corners for a 2-1 lead, and they've just got to cling on for the draw.
James, favourite sporting tournament?
I've gone for a slightly different approach to this question, and I've gone for a competition which provides a lot of emotion and pride for the British people. I've gone for the Invictus Games.
Okay.
Ah.
I thought for one horrified moment you were going to say Wimbledon.
No, because that's just Scotland who keeps winning it. We call him British because we call him English because we like it. No, it was kind of I saw a bit of it last year when it was all quite nice. It gives those the people who have fought for our country a new life, a bit of a chance to do well and show camaraderie that we have. for this year there were 540 competitors from 17 different nations. Did a lot of sports. England won a few, but they don't have like a medals table. They just have, if you won, you won, well done, sort of thing. There isn't the Olympics, this fierce competition. And yeah, there's nice. I remember there was a story of a competitor gave his gold to the family of the comrade who died, saving him, sort of thing.
Wow!
So, yeah, there's I think for maybe great sporting events. I think it's quite a good one.
Very good, very good. 4 points there, James. Right, we've got the end of 3 questions, so let's have a look at the scores. In last place, mainly because he started the show in such a manner, is James, who currently has 10 points, which is not bad. He's in contention. In second place with 11 is Mak, who would be tied for the lead if he knew better than to insult people who know where he lives and have significant influence in his life. And in first place, because she hasn't got any minus points so far because she's sensible, is Rachel with 12. It's proved so far that it's not so much about knowledge and good answers, but about keeping your mouth shut at certain points, boys. Right, moving on to question 4, with the boys needing to put some work in. So we'll let Mak start first on this one. Give me a stat or fact related to this year's World Cup.
Well, it's slightly interesting that, given all the political tensions of late, USA failed to qualify for the World Cup, yet Russia as hosted, Iran actually got there. But what are the interesting facts from an England point of view is if anybody in the team scores, they will draw level with Wayne Rooney's World Cup record of goals.
I like that. The even better thing is he almost missed that goal, and in the Arsenal scoring it as well. It was just a sort of scuffed the Sunday League, sort of scrappy finish.
2 yards out,
which in the context of the game actually counted for nothing because I scored twice. Soz Wayne.
Darren Anderton has as many World Cup goals as Wayne Rooney.
Darren Anderton scored a cracking goal, which was only surpassed by who else scored in that game?
Michael Owen? No, Colombia. Owen?
You just said Owen. You can't say the same answer twice. Minus a point.
Beckham.
Point.
Hey.
Yeah, free kick against Colombia, and we all thought he was great, and then one game later, oh dear.
Yeah.
He was vilified for what I think it took a year for people to forgive him on that one, possibly longer. Anyway, Rachel.
If you walked from Exeter Central train station to the Znicki Stadium in Moscow, where the final's being played, it would take you 584 hours, which breaks down to 24.3 days. So, if you boys wanted to see the World Cup final being played, you'd have to leave on Wednesday the 20th of June.
Which actually turns out to be my brother's birthday, so I like that stat a lot.
But yeah, it was interesting that you put that map into Google and the number of warning things you get coming up on the side, like this route will involve a ferry. No, you don't say.
Well, that's 5 points for Rachel on that one because it's that good a stack. Mak, you would have got 4, but you lost a point for saying Owen twice, so you're on 3 for that question. James.
Nothing too exciting. England have a 4% chance of winning the World Cup, which is the 8th best, along with Belgium.
As high as 4?
Yeah, but we are behind Peru, who apparently have a 5% chance of winning. And Brazil have a 21% chance of winning. They're the favourites, apparently, according to BBC Sport. And just interestingly, Russia are on their worst ever run without a win. They've gone 7 games, and they're all basically crying in Russia because their team isn't going to do very well. Yeah.
but a bonus point going round because Curley mentioned Peru. What is controversial about one of the Peru players?
He's banned for drugs.
Yeah. Good.
That's right.
So they all wrote and said, can you let him play? Because he's a bit old now and he won't get much chance to play at another World Cup. And they went, yeah, it's fine.
They did. That was good.
Well, because by your own admission you said that stat was boring, I'm going to give you 3, James. So you brought that score. You brought that score on yourself.
Oh,
Modesty is not the way the game is played.
oh.
Question 5. The World Cup is full of sponsors that really have very little to do with football. So which sponsorship deal really annoys you? And seeing as he needs the points, James.
There are quite a few on there that are very, very strange. I used a few. They're always the same ones there, and they're always very weird. But I've gone for the Hyundai Kia one. I don't know how many footballers drive Hyundais or Kias. I mean, especially in the Premier League.
This is very true.
Is a Ferrari. What does a South Korean car maker have to do with anything in Russia? So I just thought, it's a very, very strange one to have.
I guess the thing is, though, that if you try to have a sponsorship like Lamborghini or Ferrari, there's not many people who actually go, oh yes, let me go out and buy one of those cars with all this money that I don't have.
Very true.
That's true. 3 points. Mac.
Okay, so route 1 on this one, McDonald's. Possibly
I knew you were going to say McDonald's.
Possibly the worst food you could eat to do anything that involved living.
I know, I said McDonald's last year, so I decided to mix it up. But, it's very stupid.
Moving on to Rachel.
To be honest, none of them really annoy me, and I've kind of gone the opposite way. I found one that they're trying really funny. There's a company, I've never heard of them at this point. They're called Mengnui, and they're basically a China dairy company that produce dairy products and ice cream. And the reason I loved it was because, not only because the name's brilliant to say, but also the title they have been given is Official FIFA World Cup Drinking Yogurt. Now that is the most amazing title to be given to anything, I hear.
That's a good title.
Why does the World Cup ever need an official drinking yogurt? No one is playing pubs around the country when this is on, going, I need a drinking yogurt.
Which just all these middle-aged women, Rachel, just being so bloated, like utterly bloated. Like,
oh my god!
I've yet to see a yogurt advert that doesn't use that word, and yet I've never heard anyone actually say during the day, "Oh, do you know what I feel? Bloated."
But men don't discuss it though, do they? Blokes don't sit around going, "Oh, I'll tell you what, mate, I'm a bit bloated. Oh, have you tried taking this? It solves my bloating."
Solves your bloated? I'm not sure that's good.
I've got the medical term for it.
No. We are on to question 6. So, I do quite like this question. Who from the last World Cup will have their card marked as must do better this time around? To make the points up. Mac.
2 here, and ironically they were teammates last time round, Sterling and Suarez. Raheem Sterling, the last World Cup started brightly for him when he picked the ball up 30 yards out and struck a long-range effort. The net rippled and everybody jumped around celebrating. I ran into the bedroom and woke Soph up and said, "We scored! We scored!" Which would have been better had it not been midnight the game kicked off at. Unfortunately, when I went back into the lounge, it had cut to a goal kick and everyone was trying to work out what was going on. Since then, he's not really done too much in England's shirt, and whilst his form for Man City has improved, you'd still rather Emil Heskey be on the end of some chances a game he has. Moving on to the Suarez. Suarez will be hungry at this tournament to succeed. He needs to...
I really hope Sophie doesn't listen to this, Mark.
He needs to definitely bite hard, chomping at the bit to get in and make a mark on the opposition in this tournament, because he just needs to be remembered for the right reasons at a World Cup and not golden-eyeing handball against the last remaining African nation at the first ever African World Cup, or for biting an Italian centre-half. But then saying that, after those 2 World Cups he got lucrative moves to bigger clubs and a massive pay rise. So you can't really rule out he's going to do something stupid again.
Well, there's talk of Liverpool buying him back, so you never know. He's going to do something stupid for us.
I did like the fact that during the last World Cup, there were a lot of posters with him fittingly poised with his teeth open. So you'd have so many people posing going, "Oh no, he's biting me, help." But, apparently Chiellini's shoulder went into him. So, Someone just needs to give them a mouth guard. It's a very simple solution. Give them a mouth guard like they do in rugby and nothing would happen.
I think people are clearly just avoiding the issue that it was clearly a lovely romantic gesture from one player to another, and Suarez clearly couldn't tell him off the pitch, so he decided to tell him in his own way on the field. And it was misconstrued entirely.
The best bit was he tried to make out his teeth injured in it. It's like, he's clearly attacked my teeth here, ref.
If only they had. If only his teeth had been knocked out, and then it definitely wouldn't happen again.
He hasn't bitten anyone in 4 years now. He's doing all right. He's reformed.
You make it sound like he's gone to blooming rehab. Hello, I'm Luis Suarez. I haven't bitten anyone in 4 years.
You're an inspiration to us all, mate. Excellent. Right. Rachel, who needs to do better in your eyes?
As always, the England team, we marked us, could do better this year. And to quote probably every England fan around the country, this could be our year. So
now you've done it.
Yeah, I've done it now. That's it. I'm going to finish now. But yeah, I mean,
does she get minus? Does she lose all her points for making England lose the World Cup now?
Well, technically speaking, if they were going to lose anyway, it's not my fault.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we get so because you see people all the time getting so enthusiastic about it, and then everyone ends up being so upset, and I just think England need to try harder. They're upsetting people, and I don't like it.
Is there a particular player from England that you think definitely needs to do better? Is there one that you would highlight?
No, not really, because I think the issue of it is you never want your team to be a one-man squad. You want them to be able to work well together, because if they can't do that, then they're not a team. They're just 11 men playing football separately from each other.
Yes.
Unlike Spurs.
Minus point. So, James, apart from yourself, who could do better?
I hadn't picked a person because I thought the question was about teams. So I did have a few teams, but generally I think in comparison to last year and the years before, it has to be Spain. You know, they won the World Cup the year before, then their first game back against the finalists that they won against the year before, or 4 years before anyway. They got smashed 5-1 by Holland.
It started so well for them that game. They went 1-0 up, and then all of a sudden, that Van Persie header out of nowhere is one of the most random headers I've ever seen.
It was fantastic. That was when Daley Blind was all the rage. It was, what ball, you know. And then Man United they didn't do anything for another 4 years. They lost 5-1, then they lost 2-0 to Chile, who, aren't bad team generally. You know, they won the South American competition a couple of times, but lost 2-0 to Chile, and then by the time we got to beating Australia 3-0, then
they were already gone. Yeah,
they were gone. So and to be fair, you look at their squad. There's still an awful lot of good players in there. Their group, apart from obviously being against Portugal, is the other two teams are you would think easy enough to get out of that. So I think realistically they're the ones who got to do better. If they don't get to the semi-finals, you'd be kind of disappointed that Spain haven't got there. And they are kind of playing better football than when they won the World Cup, which was just kind of passing it around the back for absolutely ages and then scoring one goal and doing nothing. So hopefully they'll be a bit better this time around.
I mean, Morocco and Iran, I think, are the other two teams in Spain's group. And I mean, the idea of anyone losing to Morocco in a World Cup, particularly 3-0, just seems unfathomable to me. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Mak.
No, certainly not. I think
that game crushed me a little bit as well, because Scotland had done pretty well against Brazil in the first game, even though they lost. They drew 1-1 with Norway, and it was the sort of, yes, maybe if they beat Morocco and Norway lose to Brazil, there'll be a chance, and no.
Standard Scotland.
Right, bonus question, because of course there are two teams who you would think would like to do better but can't do better because surprisingly they're not there. Who recently said that he couldn't wait to see Italy not play the Netherlands at the World Cup, and it's a movie star?
Russell Crowe.
No, he said it in a advert with David Beckham in a trailer for his new film.
Deadpool.
Yes.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
Yes. If you haven't seen,
Technically, that's Curly's point, because Chris said it was a movie star.
Yeah.
No, it's Deadpool.
Ah.
Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds are separate entities if you've seen the films.
Deadpool is the character, Ryan Reynolds is the actor, Mark. No
Well,
one.
who's in the advert? Is it Ryan Reynolds or is it Deadpool?
Oh my god. Huh?
I think because I said movie star, I technically have to go with Ryan Reynolds. Sorry, Mac. Brave effort. Good. If anyone hasn't seen that, just YouTube Deadpool David Beckham. It's hilarious. It's very random. I feel like, though, to be fair, Mac, Ryan Reynolds basically is Deadpool at this point. He's kind of turning into that sort of slowly. Right, question 7. And this is always a tricky one. And you can say either team or player for this one. I don't particularly mind. Who will be the star of this World Cup? And we'll start with James.
I've got a list. I'm trying to choose, but I reckon it's going to be Roberto Firmino.
Bobby.
I've gone patriotic Scouser here, and along with they look at their squad. They've got Coutinho, Willian, Jesus. Their attacking and even their defensive and midfield lines are all fantastic. So I reckon he's been on such great form for Liverpool that he's going to with that service behind him.
I had him in my fantasy team for most of the year, and he did not disappoint, to be fair.
And the guy, Stanley.
It's a very unbiblical front line they've got as well, because you've got, obviously, Jesus up front, you've got Neymar with the combined wealth of the three wise men, and then Bobby Firmino's teeth is the star.
He does have quite the utensils, mouth utensils. Yeah, what was the other thing I guess I would also say that I think I agree with you, James, about Brazil is I think it would actually help them this year not to be the hosts, because I reckon last year, as good as the sport was, I kind of feel like it ended up crushing them a bit, because the expectations got so very, very high indeed that once they went a goal down against Germany, you could see them sort of start to panic.
Oh, they're obsessed with Neymar as well, though. They had so much on Neymar that when he got injured, doing all those shirts about, Neymar's the man, it's like, well, actually, there's still 22 other players in your team that can do something.
But there was also, there was kind of feeling that because they didn't have Neymar, they couldn't do it all of a sudden. Although I would argue, judging from how they fell apart defensively, that it was actually Thiago Silva being missing that did for them in that game. But yeah,
David Luiz was just he had so much emotion, he just couldn't control it, could he? And
there were a lot of them, just like the 4th and 5th and 6th goal, like it was very much just like Germany going like, who hasn't scored yet? We're trying to work out. Kedira, have you scored yet? No, I haven't scored yet, but I'm happy to try. Okay, you can have it. And I just basically knocking it around for a bit and then be like, oh, come on, Kroos, put it in already. All right, sorry.
Yes, it was a bit terrible for them.
Yeah, absolutely surreal. Right, Rachel.
Well, mine isn't a player or a team. The person I think is going to shine at the World Cup is Zabi Carver, who, for those of you who don't know who he is the official mascot of the World Cup. He is a wolf in a football kit, and the picture of him is absolutely adorable. And because of the amount of publicity there was around the lion 2 World Cups back, I reckon this little wolf could end up seeing a lot of airtime. And basically, Zabikava in Russian means the one who scores, which I think is a very suitable name for a wolf who's a mascot for a football tournament.
He sounds like a ladies' man as well.
He's also officially been given the description by the FIFA website. Zabia means the one who scores in Russian, a very suitable name for this wolf who radiates fun, charm, and confidence.
Notice you've never seen the wolf and Putin in the same photo.
It's true.
Don't try to imply they're the same person.
A better point for me is actually the fact that there are a lot of mascots that you just cannot... Can anyone remember the mascot from the last one?
What, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And it was like...
bright yellow
it was a lion.
No, that was the one before that.
Oh, I thought the Germany one was a lion, unless they were both lions.
Germany was a lion. South Africa is Nelson Mandela.
He was not the mascot.
Nelson Mandela was the mascot.
What?
Yeah,
was he actually the mascot?
Yeah, Nelson Mandela. He was at every match, going around the pitch, shaking hands, having his photo taken, chasing somebody at half time with a football.
That's quite a good image. How old was he in 2010? He must have been over 90. I can remember the one in 1998 for France, which I think was supposed to be a cockerel, but kind of looked like a parrot. And then I do not remember 2002's one at all. 2002's one, no idea.
2002 had two, didn't they? They had two footballs, wasn't it? Because it was Japan and South Korea, so they couldn't have...
Footballs? That's what they had?
They had to have something that unified both, and I can't remember what it was now.
Sushi.
If you Google it and look on, there's a photo of all the mascots, and the 2002 three very weird Japanese-looking cartoon characters.
Okay.
Atto and Kaz, apparently.
Oh, probably like sort of manga anime sort of thing, I would imagine.
It does look a bit like that. And yeah, the German one is a lion, and then the South African one's looks like a rather cool lion with a football. So,
Right.
Okay.
Right. Minus point to Mac for lying. I knew it. How dare you, sir? I trusted you.
Hey, you're not saying
Mac.
that's just that could still be an anime representation of a football.
Mac, who's going to be the star of this World Cup?
Well, it's obvious. He's one of our own. It's Harry Kane. Not since Michael Owen in 2002 have England gone into a tournament with a striker that the rest of the world actually fears.
Besides Jamie Vardy.
They're just excited. They're happy to see him because of the parties they'll have after. But Harry Kane, I mean, he could score from outside the box, in the box, in the air. He can. You give the ball to him, he'll score. He'll get the ball himself. He can run and score.
He can score with a broken nose.
He can score at a broken nose and a mask. He's just been given a contract at Spurs that's 6 years, so he doesn't have to worry about what he's doing after the World Cup. He's definitely going to get at least 2 goals.
All he has to do is stop claiming goals that aren't his, and he'll be fine.
He's going to be the tournament's top scorer.
He will absolutely never live that down. He really should have just left that alone.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like we should have a score roundup just before the last round of questions. I probably should have done that for question 6, but what can I say? I'm a freewheeler. So, in third place, and with an awful lot to do, and perhaps not surprisingly, it's Mac with 24. His days of being host and just being allowed to say whatever he can without fear of losing points has caught up on him. In second place, not doing too badly actually, picking up a fair few bonus points, and second is James with 26, but carving out quite the lead at the moment, and it would be a shame to throw it away from here, so no pressure. Rachel is first with 29 points.
Yay!
Right, so before we get to the final round, we have question 8, and we've got World Cup predictions. Right, so seeing as he needs help to get it back into contention, Mac, all the predictions you can think of.
Okay, well I've got Phil Jones to make team of the tournament.
Probably to make face of the tournament. He's quite good for pulling faces, Phil Jones.
Sergio Ramos to give Bobby Firmino the flu. I've got Spain versus Portugal to finish 0-0.
Oh, that's a good prediction actually. I like that.
And I've got, after a season of woeful defending, I think Belgium will be winners as they probably have the strongest defence and the most potent of attacking options. They do also have that man-mountain Moussa Dembele.
Yes, although not Christian Benteke, as he's been too erratic at Crystal Palace, even for Roy Hodgson's taste. 5 points for Mac. That was a good shift there. Rachel.
Top scorer, I'd love for it to be an England player, but I feel I'm being slightly too optimistic. Mark's actually going to be shocked that I'd quite like Harry Kane to be top scorer in the World Cup, because then he wouldn't be so bitter about losing the Golden Boot to Salah. Me personally, I'd love to see both Sergio Ramos and Cristiano Ronaldo red-carded. Ronaldo just because I don't like him anyway, and Ramos because of his disgusting performance against Salah. And winners, again, I'd love, if I say it again, I'll get shouted at. I'd love this to be England's year, but failing that, I'd actually like Brazil to win, because then I win my office sweepstake.
Do you know, we get to pick 2 teams, one from the top 16 and one from the bottom 16 for the World Cup. Do you know who I've got? Colombia and Serbia.
Interesting.
It's not exactly a dream team, if I'm being honest. Right, James.
if we get these predictions correct, do we get like extra points in like at the end of the month? Are we
you get nectar points, club card points, I guess. It's that sort of value, to be honest. Though after the main event, so
I'll go for winners first.
Mhm.
I reckon final will be Brazil versus Spain, 2-1 to Brazil.
Okay.
With a Roberto Firmino 90th minute winner.
Ooh.
I've gone for Bobby Firmino to be top scorer with 6 goals, and for Coutinho to be the top assister with 4. I've gone for Paul Pogba to be rubbish.
Yes.
I've gone for Iceland to get to the quarterfinals.
Ooh.
Quite the possibility if you look at the
They do have quite a nice group. I mean, Argentina aside, it's definitely a group you can get out of.
And I think they played Croatia in the qualifying, and I think they topped the group ahead of Croatia. So it could be interesting. And then I think their next, then the sort of the last 16 could be quite an easy game for them as well. So yeah, I just thought that looked a possibility. And finally, Ramos and Pepe are going to get into a fight in the Spain versus Portugal opening game.
Yes.
And both get sent off. And then when Egypt meets Spain in the last 16, Salah is going to break Ramos.
Yay!
I have to say, of all the groups that I cannot call in particular order, Group A with Egypt, it's Russia, Saudi Arabia and Uruguay.
Yeah.
That could finish, with the possible exception of Saudi Arabia, that could finish any order. Good. Well, I have to say that was a good number of predictions there, and I like the fact that you even went for a scoreline and a 90th minute winner. Very dramatic. So 6 points on that one for Mr. Curley. Here we go. It's time for Defending the Indefensible. Da-da-da-da-da-da. We have got some interesting ones here. Basically, with Defend the Indefensible, I am going to give you some statements and you have got to try and defend them, even though they probably sound controversial at best. Let's just do a quick totting up of the scores to see who goes first. In last place is Mak with 28. In second place, and he's put himself right into it, is James with 32. And so just about still ahead on 33, it's Rachel, but it's looking mighty close, and anything can happen in this one. So, Rachel, because you're in the lead, you get to pick who goes first, second and third on this.
I'll say Mac, then Curly, and then me.
Right, good. Okay, so Mak, you're up first, and your one is going to be Sergio Ramos would totally be justified if he attacked Mo Salah again.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what's Salah ever won in his career? Ramos has won the Champions League 4 times, I think. He's won umpteen La Liga titles. He's a better player. And at the end of the day, Liverpool had countless opportunities to take Real Madrid players out of the match. I mean, Karius, he got concussion. He could have used that to, clobber Benzema. Instead, he just rolled the ball at him. He should have thrown it at his face. So Ramos would be fully justified in taking Salah out, and then next season Harry Kane will get the golden boot easy.
Right, so more than a hint of bias in that answer, but very, very nicely done. Curly, right, so this is going to be an interesting one, because I don't think we've actually mentioned Germany at all in this podcast, which is quite impressive when you consider they're the defending champions. But Curly, Leroy Sané definitely shouldn't be at the World Cup. Terrible there.
He is. Raheem Sterling was better than him, and if Raheem Sterling's better than you, then you're not a very good player, really. I mean, there's just. I mean, I know what he's about 23 goals for the season and 13 assists, but when you look at that Germany squad, Mesut Ozil's got millions of assists in the Premier League ever. I think he's like 80 or something, and he's so much better. And then you got that Julian Brandt guy who's picked ahead of him, and he plays for Leverkusen, so he plays in Germany. So it's a better league, the Bundesliga. So it must be playing better over there. So he's come to the weak league of the Premier League. He's come to the champions, Man City, who they've won a league that isn't very competitive. So poor old Sane, he's got kicked out.
Very, very, very good. Some good points made. Right. Rachel, last one to defend the indefensible. Teams like Andorra and Liechtenstein should be banned from qualifying because what's the point?
Well, I mean, Liechtenstein's barely a country. As someone who's actually visited Germany, Switzerland and Austria in that area of Europe many times, I've driven from Switzerland to Austria going through Liechtenstein, and I'm pretty sure the journey time was less than half an hour. If you can drive through a country in less than half an hour, it's not a country, it's a borough. I mean, it takes longer for us to drive from here to London than it does to drive across Liechtenstein. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm surprised they've actually managed to put together a full team because of the size of it. And you've got countries like, obviously you take places like England, and we've got our own Premier League, and you've got the World Cup. I think because a country should be able to input a certain number of teams depending on its size. So I think Russia should be able to put in like 6 teams because they're massive. And then places like Scotland should be able to have like half a team. And places like Liechtenstein should have like just a goalkeeper. And that would make it fair.
Very good. Right, so that's probably one of the most radical suggestions I've ever heard for football. And here I thought having game 39 in Asia was random. I'm so glad they dropped that. So, right, the final scores, and it is very, very interesting indeed.
Oh my god.
Unless your name is Mak Forsyth. In third place, and to be fair, he did have quite a good sort of rally, but he still finished third with 33 points. But good effort, Mak, good effort. Perhaps next time be a bit more tactful about the people around you. On 37 points each. James and Rachel.
Yay!
So we have a tie, but we can't exactly have a sporting tournament podcast end on a tie. That's not how it works. So we are going to have a nice little tiebreaker. Winning point is going to go to the first person who can tell me, because Liechtenstein came up, which other country has exactly the same tune for their national anthem, Mak, you're not allowed to answer, as Liechtenstein.
Belarus.
Lithuania? This was on Big Bang Theory, wasn't it? It's Mauritius.
England.
Yes. No, I will take that. Yeah. No, that is correct. I was going to say something else. Yeah.
What?
Yes, because when we were in Liechtenstein's group for the European qualifiers in 2004, when we played Liechtenstein, it was a rather baffling situation where you had the national anthem effectively played twice, and sort of everyone looking very confused, being like, wait, didn't we already have this one? So, yes, Liechtenstein have exactly the same tune for their national anthem. Admittedly, quite different words. Also, James Mauritius, really?
I just came to my head.
To be fair, when in doubt, my answer is always England.
Yeah, wow, that's a good fact.
I also like the fact that when we were playing England versus Liechtenstein, apparently one of the Liechtenstein players missed a previous game, quote, due to the harvest. Anyway, so that means the final scores are third place with 33 points is Mak. I'm sure he will win the show one day, but today is not that day. In a very credible second place and really sort of doing a very good last few rounds and getting himself to a tiebreaker, so well done. On 37 is James. But this year's winner for the World Cup with 38 points, with a excellent guess, is Rachel with 38.
Yay!
Excellent. So thank you very much for the World Cup podcast from the 11 o'clock Waffle. I've been your host, Chris Stanley. It's goodbye from Rachel.
Bye.
It's goodbye from James.
Bye.
It's goodbye from Mak.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Hello, I'm Mak Forsyth, Commander of the Armies of the North and the one true leader of the 11 o'clock Waffle. This year's World Cup is the first to feature VAR, and following the edit of the show, it appears that there was some dodgy match fixing going on. Have a listen and see what you think.
I personally think Mak should have points deducted.
I'm taking off a point because it's not a very nice thing to say about Russia. You can't say the same answer twice. Minus a point.
Technically that's Carly's point, because Chris said it was a movie star.
Minus point to Mak. Minus point.
As a result, I think we can clearly conclude that both Rachel and Chris conspired to produce a win for her. Therefore, I am revoking her win and the winner of the 2018 World Cup Waffle is in fact James Curley. This decision is final. On another note, if you enjoy the 11 O'Clock Waffle, retweet us and reshare our videos because we're in desperate need of views. Thank you.